Toronto has experienced a rash of shootings in the last week, including 2 more today. It's a problem tied to increased gang activity in the city. Toronto's police chief, Mark Saunders, said today he's looking at ways to curb the shootings. He added that stopping the violence through arrests is not going to work. Just how big of a problem is it? So far in 2019, there have been at least 259 shootings in the city. Those shootings involved close to 400 victims. Most victims were injured, not killed. Despite the recent spike, so far, the number of shootings in 2019 is less than it was at this time a year ago. The CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick is on the story live from police headquarters. So, Megan, what stood out for you?
Well, Andrew, he was really emphasizing, the chief, that a lot of the gun violence in the city lately is connected to street gangs. He was saying, though, despite that, he understands that innocent people are still impacted by these shootings and that they are causing a lot of fear in the communities where they are happening. He also expressed quite a bit of frustration, Andrew, over the court system. He's saying one thing that's a big concern for Toronto police is that a lot of people connected to the gun violence have already been charged with gun offenses and they're out on bail, or these are people who have already gone to jail for gun offenses and they get out of prison and they get their hands on guns again and they're using them. He said that is frustrating for both the communities and for police. He said sometimes people in the community are doing their part. They are telling Toronto police what's going on. They are giving them tips, and then sometimes people are arrested and then people in the community see them walking the streets a few weeks later because they're out on bail. And he said that's frustrating for the Toronto police officers who are trying to tackle this problem as well. He said right now there are 326 people out on bail who have been charged with gun offenses. So he says that is one area that the Toronto police really wants governments to address, is that whole issue of bail and parole. He was also talking about breaking the cycle of access to guns, that these people, when they do get out of custody, they're getting access to guns, and it seems, he said, that they are more willing to use them lately. He said another strategy to combat this gun violence is to work with border services, Canada Border Services. He says some guns are flowing into the city of Toronto from the United States. But again, he was emphasizing this is a multi-pronged approach that is needed to try and tackle gun violence. And as you mentioned, he's saying we can't arrest your way out of this. There really needs to be some focus on the root causes of this violence as well, trying to prevent people from getting into gangs in the first place, prevent them from getting guns, and tackling the reasons why they're using them. Here's more of Chief Saunders.
The street gang issue is alive and well. I've said to you in the past, if the expectations are that we're going to arrest ourselves out of this, we simply are not. It does not work that way. There are social issues that are related with this. The vast majority of gun violence that has occurred in the city, the patterns are identical. It is that U-shaped area of the city where it's the neighborhood improvement areas. There are a lot of things that need to be put in play. People are not born to be street gang members. They become.
And he again made an appeal to these communities where these shootings are happening for people to be in touch with police, tell them what they know. He did say, though, he understands people are fearful to come forward with information because of fear of retaliation from members from these gangs. He would not name the gangs, Andrew, saying he does not want to give them credibility. He did also note that the number of homicides due to gun violence in Toronto are down from this time last year, but he says still it's a problem that the Toronto police are concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, when you have, is it 22 shootings in just a week? I mean, that is significant. And Megan, Ontario Premier Doug Ford also commented today. What did he say?
Yeah, he did. He was asked about this problem, this recent spate of shootings, and he said that his heart breaks for the people in the communities that are being affected, where these shootings are happening. He's saying we're doing everything we can to support the Toronto Police as well as City Hall and Mayor John Tory. He said, quote, all hands are on deck. He was asked, though, Andrew, whether that includes support for a handgun ban. That is something that Toronto Mayor John Tory has asked for. Here's how the Premier responded to that.
I go back to where I spent a lot of time in Chicago. They have the strictest handgun laws in the entire country. They have the highest rate when it comes to murders in the entire country. They had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, I think 50 shootings over the weekend. I think it was even higher. So that's not the solution, to be very frank. It's making sure that we come down hard and heavy on these gangs.
So the Premier there laying out his approach, saying it's not legal gun owners that are the problem here. And again, he prefers the approach of going hard on guns and gangs. And he said he does have confidence in the Toronto police, Andrew, to arrest the people responsible for this violence here in Toronto.
Megan, thank you. The CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick live in Toronto.